Today, I was woken up by my girlfriend in a fairly pleasant way compared to yesterday, and coming back from the shower, I put on my deodorant and all that stuff, and I just decided to record my deodorant in poor light because she likes the way I smell and I like the way that she smells, but what we really smell is she smells my Tommy Hilfiger Eau de Toilette and my, Old Spice Red Zone, and what I really smell is the Burberry. I mean, deodorant was something I've never really cared about, just as long as it, covered up any sweaty smells I made throughout the day. My day starts with me writing out an application. The application is due on the 15th. Now my only problem is that it's a video class, intermediate video class, where I have to show off my work, and all my work was recently stolen from me inadvertently when somebody nabbed my external hard disk. I'm rushing an application on my paper, talking about how my hard drive was stolen, so I can't actually show him any of my work. And then I also have the questions I'm answering, and just going through saying whatever is basically natural, recording my process and noticing how my own DV camera auto-adjusts its white balance. I notice it's about 4:10 p.m. and that I was woken up at around 1 and I haven't had anything to eat all day. So I start making it a point to go out and get some lunch, but first I have to finish my work. And I figured if I'm going to go out and hand in the essay, I might as well do that and eat. So I go out, I have my application stapled and finished, and I take a walk down the street. As I record my walk down, just taking care to record stuff so I have something to talk about for today, my little narrative of today, I realized that whenever I walk down the street and think about cameras and MCM and video, I notice how the front gate on the left and the trees on the right create a nice frame for action, a nice pathway that I can have characters walk down. If I ever chose to film a movie as such, the orange light gives a nice effect, I feel, but then looking back on my footage, I realize looks not quite as ideal as I thought it did before. Walking over to the MCM building, I realized that, I kind of hope that people will make the association with weird camera artsiness and a guy walking around the street filming random stuff and talking to himself, and would just figure that I was some crazy artistic Ivy League student with something to do. The ground gets pretty icy and I start worrying about my footing a bit. I mean, it is really cold outside. I eventually make my way to the office, the academic building where I'm supposed to go, and once inside, I start singing the Superman theme song to myself, kind of partially because I have a camera on me recording audio, and partially because I'm a fairly silly person, and partially because this is my own little heroic conquest, where, I usually read comic books, watch cartoons, and enjoy the occasional heroics, and I think getting my lazy ass out of the door and, bothering to do this instead of being lazy is my own form of heroics. Now, I realize that the office is closed, which is odd for me because the place usually closes by 5 p.m., but the semester is over, so it makes sense. And I realize there's no place to hand it in, the form, anywhere here. I also noticed that on the due date on my form says December 15th, 2006, and I realized that the form I'm carrying is an old version of the form, and the due date's probably very different for the semester. I eventually resolved to find his mailbox of the professor whose name I think I remember as Tony Cokes, as the man in charge of his course. And I search for it and eventually find it and hand it in into the slot, hoping that that will reach him somehow. Maybe I should also shoot him an email, but I've already done my heroics for the day. I start humming the Superman theme song again to myself as I walk out of the door. Now that my quest is finally over, I can treat myself to some dinner. I think about first maybe going to Johnny Rockets, just to go with the kind of theme of consumerism and consumption that I've been doing these past few days somewhat intentionally. So this video diary actually relates back to some sort of theoretical framework, but I realize that's a bit dishonest, and that, or rather not dishonest, but I just really don't want to eat at Johnny Rockets. I eventually resolve ending up eating at Shanghai, a local Americano restaurant with really, the food really, well, generally when you sit down it's better when you take out, but then that's not saying much. When I go into this restaurant and sit down and get my food, I realize that the place is extremely orange, and resolve not to correct the color when I go into the editing room. I order 2 classic Chinese dishes in one plate, General Gao's chicken and mushroom chicken. Basically 2 different chicken dishes sauteed in some sort of very non-Chinese sauce. However, there's something, and I use a fork, which is of course incredibly Asian of me. However, I noticed that the meat inside is white instead of dark mystery meat, and that is slightly reassuring. Plus, for once, the sauce is a little bit spicy, as opposed to being completely tame. I find something, I guess, kind of relaxing about Americano food, actually, that it's a kind of comfort food almost. If Americans have certain kind of comfort foods, quote unquote, like pancakes, then I guess my comfort food would be restaurant Americano chicken or Chinese chicken. It's just, you know, not real or anything, and definitely not good for you, but certainly familiar and comforting, if anything. While in the restaurant, I also noticed that by the bar they're showing the Weather Channel, as if to remind me that it was really cold outside. They also are trying to educate, apparently, but that's not really what I care about. What I care about is just, you know, noticing that, wondering how I'm going to be able to pull myself back outside into that freezing cold weather that's just waiting for me out there. I mean, I'm pretty much out of heroics at this point. However, I go back at the end of my meal. I notice that I get not 1 but 2 fortunes. One reminding me that I have a deep appreciation for the music and the arts, and then again, who doesn't? And another more cryptic one saying that I should not depart from the path that fate has assigned me. I guess the profundity of the fortune cookie is kind of lost due to just various things, just how the fortune cookie kind of is just a fake dessert for a pretty fake Chinese meal, and second, how they stick the Lotto 6s on the back, as though the kind of consumption of lottery tickets are supposed to be our lucky numbers and our kind of arbitrary, you know, numeric omens of the day.